All right. What is going on and how y'all doing out there in Atlanta Bird Gang Land and also on Uncle Steve's Lounge? Happy to see y'all today on a Monday, January 10th. And this is about the second take of this. I don't know what's going on. My internet is showing like it's good. So hopefully folks will come in so we can interact a little bit better now. But what I came in to talk about is obviously the elephant in the room. What's next? And it seems like we've done the what's next thing for the last 3 or 4 years. So I want to chat it up with you guys to see what's going on. So talk about our instant reaction of the Atlanta Falcons in a nutshell. 24 hours removed from the untimely, horrible loss we had yesterday to our arch rival New Orleans Saints. I know a lot of anger was going on last night. I know a lot of talk in between still going on in the group. Uncle Steve's Lounge, I see a lot of people commenting on the video we did yesterday. So I wanted to get out to you all, see what you're talking about and what you think should be the next step. Hey, Antoine, what's going on, my friend? Antoine, always check him out on his YouTube page, on Antoine Smitty Smith. Please check him out. I know, Antoine, if you get a chance, put your moniker down there for you, because I know you have a lot of good content, my brother, and folks are missing out if they don't get a chance to see you online. But thanks for joining us, my brother. Cam is on. Cam says we can see you now. I don't know what was going on, Cam. Like I said, I know I paid my internet bill, so I guess it was acting kind of crazy today. What's going on, RJ? I'm feeling well today, my friend. Cam says, see you later, man. Ryan. Y'all trying to get rid of him already. Oh, man. Todd, what's going on, brother? How you feeling, Todd? Good to see you. What's going on? And Corliss, what's going on? Say good evening, Steve. Just stopping through and saying hello. This is that link, y'all. If y'all get a chance to see Smitty's Sports Machine, he is on YouTube. And like I said, for real, well, a lot of times when I'm checking out instant rumors and things of that nature, he's a brother that I always pick his brain to see what he's talking about. And he has some stuff that just came out. I think I saw something either earlier today or late last night on there as well. So y'all make sure y'all check him out when you get a chance, my brother. My brother always willing to support you, brother. You got some good stuff going on there. So this is what we're going to talk about. So I have a list of things. And again, keep in mind that it's reactionary. I'm not going to pretend to be one of those people who keep it calm and cool at all times when it comes to my favorite team. The Falcons, look, I live, breathe, eat, sleep Atlanta Falcons in my recreational time. So I want to kind of dive into what you all thought of the Falcons this year. Today, we're going to talk more team-based. I will touch on a couple of individuals as I'm giving those particular ratings. But as a whole, different parts of the team. And look, I'm not anybody that's going to set my stuff on fire and go crazy, man. I don't do all of that. So I know a lot of people. I'm laughing. I love my brother Malcolm. Malcolm made me laugh last night. Malcolm went out there and burnt off. Malcolm Walker. Y'all check him out too. Busted the Fool. He has some really funny videos that he has. Atlanta, give him a lot of credit. That brother keeps it real. And he burned all stuff yesterday. He was burning shoes in the charcoal yesterday, so that was kind of funny. So y'all get a chance to check him out as well. So I'm not that fan, but I am a fan that tries to keep it as real as I can when it comes to my disgust with what's going on up there in Flowery Branch. And I'm not expecting anybody to say anything that's going to save the world. I know we're going to hear the Matt Ryan leave. I know we're going to hear the Calvin Ridley traded. I know we're going to hear the we're never the same since Julio left. I know we're going to hear some people say suit up Mike Vick and see if he can come back. I know it's going to go round and round and round and round and round. I'm expecting that. But I did want to touch on a couple of things coming in right here. Antoine says, I think they overachieved with what they had to work with. TD left this team a mess. Twan, I absolutely agree with you. The financial situation that we're in and the reason why we're probably stuck in the mud as far as bringing in talent. That was one of the things I was touching on yesterday. If you all joined me last night after the game, is I spoke on this team being devoid of talent. While my overall thought is that we still need to go for the future. I listen, it's not a hate thing with Matt Ryan or anything like that, but I think in order for us to change the atmosphere in this organization and get a different vibe moving forward, I do think you potentially need to look into whoever your next quarterback is. You got to start looking sometime soon. And I think we're fooling ourselves the more and more each year that we don't try to find the heir apparent or somebody talented enough to push Matt into a situation where we're a lot better. We'll get into a lot of the reasons why Matt wasn't successful as well. That doesn't have to do with him directly. But yeah, Dimitroff left this place horrible. This is all. He left us in bad shape, and every time I see him on the NFL Network doing when they bring him in for commentary or something like that, it ticks me off because I just say to myself, "Yeah, you talking all that junk and left us high and dry." So that sucks. Clayton says, "We expect the season to be like this. We said this from week 2. This is a rebuild." That takes time. Let's go Bulldogs. Here's my only thing about a rebuild, though, Clayton. Yes, you're going to have early in the year, and a lot of people take what Terry Fontenot said at the beginning of the year as the gospel truth. Terry said we weren't rebuilding. Now, we behind the scenes know he can't come out. I said this earlier in the season too. Terry Fontenot cannot come out and say, hey, we're broke. We can't do anything. So y'all expect a subpar season. But at the same time, he did kind of invigorate a little bit of buzz in the fan base when he said, no, this is not a rebuild. We're going out to try to win. And people should have seen by the free agents we brought in. I remind everybody, I think the most expensive free agent we brought in was Mike Davis. And that was only 2 years. And I think 2 years, $6 million. So it's not like they were going out there getting proven talent. Mike Davis, hometown guy, a lot of love for Mike Davis for doing. And a lot of people, and I want to get this off my chest too. He had a post, and I know a lot of people you've seen it. I want to say it was Instagram, and if I can pull it up in here in a second, I will. But he came out with a post where, he kind of was down on himself and said, he meant to do well. He apologized for, not being able to come through. And he after a horrible game like that, it was nice to see some accountability on his part. Something refreshing. You don't see that a whole lot where players come out and say, yeah, my bad. But he can't take the whole blame. Yes, those 2 fumbles were critical. He's put the ball on the ground before the last New Orleans game. Remember, we supremely lucked out that ball was recovered in the first game, or we probably wouldn't be talking about a split this year. Might be talking about a sweep by the Saints. So that was refreshing to see. But, some of y'all keyboard warriors make me laugh. How y'all act like just the man doesn't have any feelings or whatever. I don't try to, when people try to reach you on a personal level, which is what he tried to do, I can appreciate that. To me, I thought that was very refreshing. But some folks take that as a sign of weakness and all of that. And you're soft, and I want to, I really want to see a side of Facebook pictures. A lot of these folks come out here because I don't try to pretend like I can go out on the field and stay upright for 60 minutes and do all the stuff that some of these tremendous athletes do. Is it disappointing his play? Absolutely. He did not come with there was a thought that he was going to come and bring some added oomph to the run game, and he didn't do that this year. We got more of that probably from Cordero Patterson this year. But I just appreciated that. I know a lot of people didn't, but I absolutely did. Cam says the defense played good in spurts. Offense was missing talent. Mike Ryan's behind needs to go. All over, I give a D. I'm not going to give them an F. They won more games with less talent. We'll go with that in a second. Antoine comes back and says, I think they take a quarterback day 2, but they must build on defense and make it the strength of this team until they find a franchise quarterback. That's my formula. I think at number 8, I think the most glaring need on this, and we have a lot of them, got a lot of needs on this team, but the most glaring need on this team is the ability to affect the quarterback. And we have not done that in arguably since 2017, where we have not had a defense to put any type of consistent pressure on the quarterback. And you look at the teams that are in the playoffs, they have folks that can do that. I was looking at the difference last night, we were watching the very good Raiders and Chargers game. I thought the Raiders were actually going to let the Chargers in there for a quick minute at the end. And you look at somebody like Max Crosby and how he just consistently made life hard for Justin Herbert, who ended up having a good game, but shoot, he was fighting for his life back there. We don't have that type of quarterback record. Like, you think about teams like Cleveland with Myles Garrett that didn't make the playoffs, that, somebody like that. Not saying the Falcons could use them, but maybe draft somebody. I would love to be able to get some shenanigans and work out a way to get up there to number 1 and grab my guy Hutchinson from Michigan, or the young man from Oregon. Just got to get a difference maker. You have to get a difference maker that can go after the quarterback, and I just don't think we have one. And until we do have one, it's going to be some of the same stuff on defense. I'm going to get to the grades in a second, but those are some of the things that I feel like we need to improve on. Hey, Lisa, how you doing? Hey, Steve, yesterday was interesting. Wanted more smoke for those Aints. But see, here's the problem, Lisa. Just like they were silent earlier in the year when we beat them. See, I'm telling you, without Drew Brees on that team, they know they have dropped back down to mediocre. And right now we can't really, really drill it in. We could have if we won yesterday, but they've dropped down to the middle of the pack. That's why, to me, when I start talking about it, and I know it starts with the quarterback, and I'm sorry, y'all, I just think your team vibes around your quarterback. Somebody was saying yesterday about, and they made the statement, I wish I could pull up the post, and they were making the statement about Matt Ryan. And listen, I respect it. 14 years, he's been able to stay in here. He's consistently put up yards, and this team isn't about one person. It's about 22 people. It's about that. And I agree with everything they said. But here's the problem with those statements when people go to it's a team game and he can't do it alone. Offensive linemen. How many times have we rotated offensive linemen since 2008? A lot. How many times have we rotated running back since 2008? A lot. How many times have we rotated wide receivers since 2008? A lot. How many times have we changed the defensive line since 2008? Plenty. How many times have we changed the 2 cornerbacks out there on the island with those wide receivers? Plenty. How many times have we changed the linebackers since 2008? A lot. The only constant is Matt Ryan. So if I'm on the outside looking in, you know what that would tell me? If I'm on the outside, I should say, man, that Matt Ryan is so special that all they need to do is change all the parts around him. And this team will automatically become this great franchise. Because the people who defend Matt, and you have every right to, but when I always come up with the statement, well, if Matt is so special, why isn't he elevating the play of people around him? Are you going to sit here and tell me every person that goes to Green Bay is a great receiver? Valdez-Scantling is a great receiver. Alan Lazard is a great receiver. I give Devontae Adams. Cobb is a great receiver. No, they play with a great quarterback who makes them, who elevates them. Seattle, Tyler Lockett is a great receiver. DK Metcalf is a great receiver. Any tight end that play with them are great tight ends. No, they have a great quarterback who elevates their game. Tom Brady for years and years and years. One of the biggest things they always talked about with Tom Brady is Tom Brady has not had an elite wide receiver core until he came to Tampa Bay. And he didn't. Yes, we had spots where Randy Moss came there, and we had a spot where guy's losing my name right now. Had one more wide receiver that came in there. But for the most part, you had the Amendolas, the Julian Edelmans, the Rex Burkhardt, who was kind of like a CP for them. Quarterbacks elevate play. And when I see folks go to the defense of Matt Ryan, it's not the people saying Matt Ryan sucks, but it is a thing to say, well, wow, this organization feels like everybody's screwing up except Matt. That's my only defense on that. That's my only counter when I hear people go to the defense of Matt. I heard somebody else say it's so funny. Matt had 10 years of 4,000 yards. And then the next thing is, Matt's the only quarterback to have 3,500 yards in 11 straight seasons. Come on, y'all. Come on, stop. So again, those who are going to be narrow-minded enough to hear that as Matt Ryan hate, you're not listening to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, from the outside in, that statement says Matt Ryan is the greatest, and we need to change everything around him. And to me, the organization is saying that. And while we're on the subject of that, let me get through a couple of these comments, and then we'll get to that in a second. Brother Armani, what's going on, man? Armani says, man, there are a lot of good running backs in this draft class. We got to get the right one, though. Got to get the right one. Must get the right one. Antoine says, Kyle Hamilton is a playmaker they need in the secondary. If they trade back, Trayvon Walker would be my move. Sleeper pick would be Tyler Lindenbaum, center from Iowa. They need a toughness in front of Matt Ryan. And you're absolutely right about that center. That's a little bit shaky. I thought Hennessy was going to solidify that that particular spot. The center and guard positions are absolutely critical, because if you look at the pressure that comes to Matt, most of the time that pressure is coming straight up the gut. And we're in a division at this moment where Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea is on one line. You talk about New Orleans front that has been killing us for the last couple of years. We have to find an answer to protect Matt Ryan or whoever the quarterback will be going forward. Octavia says Isaiah Spiller is my guy, or James Cook. James Cook, I know a lot of people, obviously, the magnifying glasses on Cook. Good luck to the Bulldogs tonight. Hope they can bring another title home to the state of Georgia, like the Braves did earlier this year. Cam says Aiden might be there for us, but we'll see. Honestly, Clayton says wide receiver, pass rush, corner, offensive line, running back, and wide receiver. You might as well say team. I could have saved you all of that. You just should have said TEAM, and that would have been good. Oh man, Antoine says James Cook will be the offensive steal of the draft this year. Not a lot of tread on his tires. Absolutely, in a situation with Georgia where Zeus and McIntosh and James Cook, they rotate those guys in. It's kind of almost the same thing with Sony Michel and Nick Chubb when they came out of the championship season. They didn't ride one of them heavier than the other one during that championship run a few years ago. And I like that about Georgia, that they have enough talent that they can do that. Octavia says we rotated everything except Matt Ryan. I mean, that's just a true statement. Clayton says we stuck with Matt for another year because of the cap hit, but it would be very great to get a gladiator quarterback. And here's the thing about that, Clayton. Hear me out, and y'all hear me. It's not about getting rid of Matt Ryan. It's about grooming the next person. So if 2023 is going to be kind of an escape out of the current extension that we have, and when I say escape, not without any touch, the cap hit will be much less than it would be this year if you decided to move on from Matt. But that still doesn't mean you don't look out for the future. I think people take that. So when I was saying last year at number 4, as much as I love what Kyle has done for us, as much as I appreciate that young man and what he's going to be for the offense, I still don't think it was wise to pick a tight end at number 4. And going back now, though I don't think a lot of grades had him in the top 5, Michael Parsons seems like he would have been a steal at number 4 too. At least those would have been people who could have made an instant impact. I'm not sure anybody expected Michael Parsons to be what he's been this year for Dallas, which is probably why he ended up dropping a little bit. But I remember prior to all the quarterback upgrades last year in spring, when Trey Lance moved up, and Mac Jones and Zach Wilson and all those guys all of a sudden moved up, Justin Fields. Then all of a sudden, Michael Parsons went down. The year before, everybody was talking about Michael Parsons, the number 2 pick. So, that just doesn't mean you don't go out and groom your next guy. And your next guy doesn't have to be the number 1 quarterback out of this class. I'm not sure if Pickett or Matt Corral are people that make me say, I mean, can we drop and get a better decision from somebody in the 2nd round or 3rd round? I think we can. I don't think you necessarily have to make a quarterback a 1st round pick this year. Now, this coming year, I should say, 2022. 2021 would have been a nice year because everybody act like it's this unwritten rule that you can't sit down a rookie and let him learn. I've never understood that, but I don't know. We'll agree to disagree. Antoine said, agreed. Matt is only as productive as the OC they put in place to coach him. This is true. What's going on, PJ? PJ is watching us on Uncle Steve's Lounge. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe over there and check us out. We're going to have some things coming up for the draft and try to grab some folks on here to talk about that in the months to come, to discuss this thing. It's going to be wide open because I honestly don't think, you know how sometimes in the draft they list the needs of the team. I don't, just like my man Clayton did a few minutes ago, I don't think you're going to have 1 or 2 needs. I think you're going to look at 5 or 6 different positions that you're going to be looking at. Muhammad, what's going on? Muhammad says, I hope it's never Matty Ice, never again. Matty, look, I can't wait. Hopefully one day we'll we'll be able to give him his flowers in a great ceremony and something like that. Right now, he's ours as of January 10th at 6 at 5:39. He's ours, so might as well get your mindset to it. Macario, what's going on, man? Said we need a running back, wide receiver, pass rusher, an offensive line, and a quarterback. You right, team. Let's go, dogs. And again, we are hopefully we're gonna support our dogs. I think Armani is the only one out there trying to ride with them Crimson Tide, but we need the dogs to give us some good karma to the state of Georgia so that stuff can rub off a little bit on this team here. Gregory, what's going on? Gregory said, I just don't think this is the year to go quarterback in the draft. I don't see any of them being that great. Here's the thing about that, Gregory. When you talk about a team like Atlanta, there is a slight luxury in holding on to Matt Ryan. And before y'all start shooting darts at me, hear me out. He is a veteran quarterback. It is no doubt that he is a leader. Contrary to what any wide receivers who leave this team tell you, Matt Ryan is a leader. And if it's anything that you want, this is why I wanted Justin Fields or Trey Lance to get here and learn under him, is how to be a professional quarterback. Nobody can say Matt Ryan has not been great for the city, great for the area. His skill set has deteriorated in the last few years. That's the only problem I have right now with Matt. It's not the offensive line that he can't. He made a scramble yesterday that I just the awkwardness of it. And if you don't believe that his skill set has deteriorated, go back and look. I have Game Pass, and you can probably find it on YouTube and whatever. And I was looking at the 2016 NFC Championship game with Green Bay. And of course, the run that shook the world and shook the earth, probably as much as Marshawn Lynch's did against New Orleans in the playoffs. When Matt Ryan ran, and you saw somebody decided to dive into the end zone, but you saw him running with confidence. You saw him running with the athleticism at that time that made you think, okay, if I have to get somebody to roll out, if I have to get somebody to really get some extra yards, he's going to be okay. Now, that was 2016. Now it's 2022. And life and evolution and all those other things hit your body. No man is the same man they are without Viagra in 6 years later or 10 years later. I'm sorry. You're lying. So I'm just saying you have to keep in mind that while he's going down, bring up somebody. My biggest point when you were talking about, Gregory, about the certain quarterbacks, I don't need a star. I need somebody with a skill set. If Malik Willis has the skill set that I can teach him how to run this offense, so be it. And then if you figure that a year or so from now, I get somebody else when we have money, then you go get them. But for right now, I just need to look out for the future. And I think that's my biggest thing right now. That's what I say. Antoine says, take Howell or Zap in the third round if they are available. I would not mind taking Howell at all. That's actually a pretty good pick there. Dub said, I never understood that either, that the notion that a rookie quarterback has to sit. I mean, it's just one of those things where, I think people are just like, oh my God, they're getting drafted up so high. They got to play them right now. And it's crazy, man. Just absolutely crazy. Gregory said, and no, me and you are on the same page. It's time to start looking for a replacement. And I think a ton of fans are holding on to what he has done and not paying much attention to what he's doing. Gregory, it's something I was talking about yesterday. There are so many people, and as fans, we all remember the good. We all remember the run to 98. Those of you who have as many gray hairs as I do, we all remember the run in 98 to the Super Bowl. We all remember Mike Vick in his not rookie year, but the next year, elevating the Falcons to a pretty much an unpredicted playoff run and beating Green Bay in the snow and going on to the divisional round. We all remember the run when Matt Ryan, we had the 13-3 team and went played our first game and got throttled by the eventual Super Bowl champs in Green Bay. We all remember the run in 2012 when, again, that close to getting the Super Bowl in San Francisco came back on us. And we absolutely remember the debacle in 2016 when New England came back and stole the game from us at the end. We hold on to those moments. We hold on to a lot of that. And the last moments, Falcon fans felt good about the team. Matt Ryan was at the helm. So there are some folks that still hold on to that. Want to test the theory? Ask people about Mike Vick. People still talk about Mike Vick like he's still here, like he just left 5 years ago. Mike Vick had us feeling good about the team at the time. That's why people are kind of brainwashed into thinking that the 2016 Matt Ryan is the same guy who's running out on the field right now. And it's not. And that's no hate. That's just true. And is Matt serviceable? Of course he is. And I would love for him to get the offensive line that he deserves. I would love for him to do that. But we keep saying that year after year after year. And yes, some of it is organizational scouting and whatever it was that wasn't bringing the people in here. But then I think it's also one of those things that, you know what? We've tried every single thing else. What about the quarterback? Let's see. Now, I know we've also kind of put ourselves into a corner because you can't do a whole bunch right now about the financial situation. Thomas Dimitroff left us in a horrible place. And we can't really do a lot of that when we were giving those love contracts to Julio and Matt at the time, which I'm sure the guys that we have in place now know that you just can't give out deep pocket contracts to guys in their 30s. You can't do that. And, you know, hopefully that's something. Dub says, I think Matt Corral is a franchise quarterback, depending on how he's groomed. Yeah, and you know, I saw some things in him this year, especially playing in the SEC, that made me think he might be battle tested and ready. I'm just not sure for this particular team right now that a Matt Corral, his worth is going to be first round. I'm not sure unless the Falcons blow our minds and make some moves that we're not suspecting, like i.e. trade Matt, i.e. get a team to come and, you know, absorb some of that cap hit or something like that, which teams aren't going to do. Barring that, I just don't think this year the quality of the quarterbacks is worth taking at number 8. And really, keeping it real, I'm not sure if Matt Corral and Pickett will probably be there after number 6 anyway, because I know Carolina needs a quarterback. Giants need a quarterback. I'm not sure if that's going to last going back down. What do you think? Who's it? Antoine says it's hard to pull. I'm trying to tell you, man. Listen, some of y'all little young whippersnappers think y'all gonna be able to perform as quick as you can. I'm trying to tell you, don't get me wrong. You get a little fire every now and then, but y'all gonna need your help. Oh man. Oh man. That is crazy, boy. But Dub says, yeah, Dub says fair assessment state. Yeah, and that's all I'm saying. I look, and I don't have all the answers. I don't. I'm just a overhyped fan that loves to give my opinion, and I think a lot of times I just like to look big picture before I go crazy. You know, with just sometimes I see some folks on these posts and everything, and they just say the first thing that come out of their mouths, and I just say, "Y'all, did y'all think about that before you said it?" And I like to try to do that at least. Gregory says, "Please stay away from Pickett. He's an interception machine." And I don't think it always worries me too that he didn't play in a big time league, so that kind of concerns me as well. ACC, I think the ACC right now is, I would say, after the SEC, I would say Big Ten, I would say Big 12. Shoot, I might put the Pac 12 over the ACC as far as talent. Now, that doesn't mean he couldn't be a great player that's just playing in a bad or a lower rated conference. But I'm just saying, I like the fact when I see the Matt Corrals, the Matt Jones, the folks who are battle tested in pretty much basically, which is the minor leagues, SEC football, as you guys will see today, because the best two teams in the country are in the SEC right now. And you can almost argue that Ole Miss was close to the top five. Don't pay attention to the bowl game because Corral got hurt. So don't. It's just interesting. It's interesting. Antoine says Matt Ryan played in ACC. It's how well he transitioned into the NFL. You know, and I'm going to play defense for Matt Ryan for a lot of folks right now. At the time we drafted Matt Ryan, and I know you remember this, Antoine. It was the big decision between him and Glenn Dorsey. And obviously we made the better decision because Glenn Dorsey, I don't think, lasted 7 years. I don't know. I'm not sure how long. Big D tackle from LSU. And quarterback decision, it was between Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco. Now, Joe Flacco has the hardware. Joe Flacco also had a generationally great defense with Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, Nada in the middle, and just a lot of good, tough players on that particular team. Matt Ryan coming out of Boston College, the biggest knock on Matt was those interceptions. He threw quite a bit of interceptions with BC. And he did turn the ball away quite a bit when first couple of years, but then he cleaned it up slightly. He also had Michael Turner, who was lighting it up and doing what he needed to do for the team. So give him a lot of credit for that. Matt was doing Matt's growth those first 3 to 4 years should be noted and should be applauded. Matt came in here and look, check the records out. A lot of quarterbacks don't win their first 5 seasons. I'll be willing to bet you, aside of Russell Wilson, maybe in the last 25 years, there haven't been a lot of quarterbacks that started from the jump. I don't put Tom Brady in that category because Tom didn't start the year that year. Matt Ryan, you're talking about starting from the jump, and Matt was the man. I think that's something that you got to think about and have to evaluate when you start talking about, these guys and everything. So that's, just being fair. Antoine says, right, Dorsey didn't play up to potential, and Flacco still hasn't had a better career statistically and had a great defense around him. And I'll even go this far. Flacco's not going to make the Hall of Fame. Flacco's definitely not going to make the Hall of Fame. And I think Matt Ryan, I'm not trying to suggest he's first ballot at this second. It'll be interesting to see. I was talking to somebody about the Hall of Fame credentials the other day. Whatever happens to Phillip Rivers is probably going to be the litmus test for Matt Ryan. Because Phillip Rivers in the last 15, 20 years is probably about the best mirror for Matt Ryan. Now, barring Matt Ryan going out and making a uncharacteristic run towards the Super Bowl one more time. We'll see. If Phillip Rivers is a first ballot Hall of Famer, then Matt ought to be. He should be an automatic first round, first ballot Hall of Famer. Definitely. Dub says Jerry Rice played at Mississippi Valley State, Shannon Sharp at Savannah State. Yeah, absolutely. But here's the problem though, Dub. Let's not go to the watermelon patch and pick the biggest watermelon out of 4,000. I remember Jerry Rice very well. A matter of fact, if you talk about Jerry Rice, the forgotten man in the Jerry Rice saga is Willie Taunton. I thought Willie Taunton was a great quarterback for Mississippi Valley State. He threw about 50 plus touchdowns that same year that Jerry Rice was statistically eating everybody up. People forgot who was throwing him the ball. He was somebody that at the time, I don't think the world was ready for the starting black quarterback. And yes, I know Doug Williams was there and he had kind of made a splash out of Grambling. But at the same time, I just don't think a lot of other people were willing to take that chance. I think that stereotype and that stigma was still going on at that time. But yeah, you can't grab like one or two guys and just make that whole argument. I'm just saying from a whole, because Walter Payton too, right? You can't just pluck one or two. I'm talking about when you go to the draft like you did 3 years ago when LSU had eight people in the first two rounds. Alabama always has 6, 7 people in the first couple of rounds. Georgia, even without winning, always has 4 or 5 people in the first couple of rounds. That's the kind of consistent thing. Now, if you told me Mississippi Valley State put 4 people in the draft next year, then I'll be willing to ride with you. But I hear what you're saying in the defense of HBCUs. I'm not trying to knock that. There are some talented guys that don't get the love they deserve, but I just saying that example might have been stretching it just a little bit. Matt had a better career than Dorsey and Flacco, without a doubt. Antoine also says, I think Steve McNair is the perfect example of the NFL. You will find that if you can play. And Steve McNair out of Alcorn State, I'm just trying to tell you again. And if you all remember Willie Taunton, he and McNair had the same type number. Actually, McNair broke a lot of Willie Taunton's records from Mississippi Valley State with his career yardage and touchdowns at the time. Steve McNair was a great player. He was a great player. Absolutely. Dub says you're absolutely right. Some of us got left behind. A lot of us got left behind. Straight up got left behind. I did want to put one video. I know a lot of people not misunderstood. A lot of people were ready to think Chris Mortensen yesterday in his report was the gospel truth when you start talking about Matt Ryan. And there was a tweet where he was saying that Arthur Smith had absolutely positively said that Matt Ryan is in his plans for 2022. And I'm not putting this up to try to, say aha or anything like that. But it is one of those things where I just want to say, y'all be careful when y'all listen to heavy.com. Y'all want to find some truth. Y'all go to Antoine's Sports Machine. Y'all don't go to these other guys who are just trying to make, just trying to get something out there. I want y'all to listen to this real carefully from Arthur Smith, and I'm gonna let my echo play out for a second, and then listen to this video from Arthur Smith as he discusses the rumor about what Chris Mortensen says. Like I said, give me a second to get this echo out, and then I'm gonna play it. And for some of you who was thinking, well, Chris Mortensen said it. It's the gospel truth. I'm going to let y'all listen to this 1 second. Wait about 5 seconds. Let me let this echo go. Mortensen said it. It's the gospel truth. I'm going to let y'all listen to this 1 second. Wait about 5 seconds. Let me let this echo go. Mortensen said it. It's the gospel truth. I'm going to let y'all listen to this 1 second. Wait about 5 seconds. Let me let this echo go. Mortensen said it. It's the gospel truth. I'm going to let y'all listen to this 1 second. Wait about 5 seconds. Let me let this echo go. Well, I'm sorry, that's not working out. I thought I was going to have more success with that. I needed to put that in here, but I know what I will do. I'll play it right here on my phone for you, so y'all can hear that, because I want y'all to hear Arthur Smith when he talks about the rumor of them already making a decision on Matt Ryan. 1 second here. I'll pull it up here right to the spot. There we go. All right, listen up.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to internet. You can find whatever you want on the internet. I mean, Chris Morten's a pretty great. I'm not discrediting any sort of reporter, but I can tell you this, that for 100% fact, there was a lot of nonsense that came out in the spring. You know how you want to insinuate things, no different than the Calvin Ridley question from last week, saying that there's not a football decision that's made with the Atlanta Falcons without Terry Fontenot and myself collaborating. That's just absolute nonsense, Michael. Absolute 100% nonsense. It'll never happen. We're not we're not professional politicians. We don't operate that way. I know a lot of the league likes to leaks rumors. That's not how Terry and I operate. So I know there's a lot of respected people. They got a job to do, but that's just not what happens. So again, that's life's a lot better when you're not on social media. Well, I know you got a job. I understand. Just don't look at your mentions, Michael.
I unfortunately have to, but let me ask this a little more directly. Do you expect Matt Ryan to be your quarterback next year?
Look, Michael, I sit here. Matt knows how we feel about it, but you're not going to get like a hot take from me today to ever back ourselves into a corner. I don't care about it. Everything is evaluated every year, and that's the way it goes in the NFL. To make a grand statement right after a game, we're all on the same page. But do I have to declare that Kyle Pitts will be our tight end for us next year? You want me to declare that? I mean, like, where do you want me to go? We can go down the whole roster. I'm not going to back ourselves into a corner. I know you got to ask a question. I appreciate it, but we'll take a fair evaluation of everybody, top to bottom, every single year.
So I thought that was pretty profound yesterday, especially coming off of the report Chris Mortensen gave that was saying that Arthur Smith basically had said he had made that call. I don't know. And I know reporters do what they have to do. I'm not, and he was real cool about that, saying that, hey, guys have to do what they need to do to, keep things rolling in the offseason. Guys are going to be picking stories, cherry picking things out to do what they need to do. But I just feel like when I heard that at first, and I said to myself, wow, you would pin yourself in 2022. What if there is that team that says, you know what, we're one quarterback away from making the playoffs, and Matt Ryan might be our guy, and we might be able to give you some assets or give you some cap relief or bring you some put you some cash back in so you can alleviate some of the dead cap money, even if you trade it, Matt. Who knows? But for somebody to say that about your 37-year-old veteran quarterback, I think to Arthur's position, why would you say that early? If this was Patrick Mahomes, or this was Aaron Rodgers, or this was Josh Allen, I can understand that. But to automatically go out and tie yourself into Matt Ryan, I think that would have been foolish. I think that would have been dumb to do that. Scooter said, what was Arthur supposed to say? Of course, Matt is our quarterback next year because we owe him a ton. That doesn't mean we're not picking one in the draft. I think you're missing the point what I'm saying. It's not, even if Matt Ryan is your quarterback, you're going into a volatile offseason. If somebody makes you an offer you can't refuse, Scooter, whether Matt is going to be, and you talk about a ton of money, absolutely, we all realize that. It's not he getting a lot of money. He counts for a lot of cap. He's not going to get $48 million. He counts for $48 million in the salary cap. If we traded him, that base salary would go, but we would still be accountable for that money that was restructured down the line. That's what that means. Matt's not going to make $48 million. I know some people say that's the same, but I hear people say that all the time, and that's not true. But the point is, he is accounted for a lot of money. But you still don't play your cards out in public one day or 1 hour after the game. So that's why I think you saw Arthur Smith give a pretty hard defense just to say, dude, I don't care what Chris Morton just said. I didn't say that. And who knows? Maybe Arthur Smith did whisper that to somebody in their ear. But Arthur Smith is not going to play his cards. I'm not trying to argue about whether he's going to be here or not. That's not the point. Dre says, I'm going to say Colts are that team. It's kind of interesting that you say that. My son and I was sitting there talking about, you talk about a ready-made team with a good defense, Jonathan Taylor busting out as a probably a top 5, top 10 player this year, arguably in the MVP conversation. At least he would have definitely been had they made the playoffs. But a running game, defense, wide receivers. Hey, if they had the right price, why not? So we'll see. Antoine says, I think Indy and Cleveland will be in play for a Matt Ryan trade. They are one quarterback away, and that's what I'm talking about. So when I was saying that, Scooter, this is what I'm talking about. What Twan is saying. You talk about Indy, you talk about Cleveland. Cleveland is another team. You look at Cleveland's defense. Cleveland's defense is not bad at all. Myles Garrett, a couple of other guys back there, and look on the offensive side, be reunited with Austin Hooper. The other tight end they have in there, Nick Chubb, still in the house. Not sure what Kareem Hunt's contract situation is. I'm not sure whether he signed multi-years, but he's there at least now. I'm sure he might want to come back. But Cleveland might be saying, dude, we spent all this money on these folks coming in, and if Baker isn't the guy, then maybe we need to invest in somebody like him. That's actually a good call. What's going on, Lewis? How you doing out there? Thank you for joining us on Uncle Steve's Lounge. We appreciate you joining the conversation. Antoine says Mayfield's ego destroyed that team. You know, with every is that Progressive Insurance? With every commercial I see him on, I say to myself, I bet you they are saying, man, we were sold some damaged goods. Because the commercials are kind of funny and ha-ha. But they signed up for those commercials coming off of that 7-8-1 season, because they've been running these commercials for 2 years. Obviously, last year they had a successful season. Got to give them credit. But you also say these last 2 years, did they win because of Baker Mayfield, or did they win in spite of Baker Mayfield? And there were a couple of times this year where you say, ooh, something else. And before anybody tries to defend him, oh, my shoulder was hurt. If your shoulder's hurt, then you don't need to play. Let's get a healthy quarterback in there who's going to let us win. I'm sure those guys on the team are saying, dude, if you're hurting right now, then you need to be off the field, and let's take a chance on somebody who can play. Don't sit there at the press conference last week and say that. That's not true. Dre says, but those teams are very up and down on the coaching. Yeah, maybe, but it's still, I mean, at the end of the day, here's the realistic part. Yes, to those who are grabbing the Matt Ryan pom-poms, it's probably a better chance than not he's going to be here next year. But is Matt part of your long-term future? Is Matt going to be here when Kyle Pitts is going into his fifth-year option? Because I don't think he is. Matter of fact, I would say this year is probably the last year that you would probably say, yeah, Matt will probably be the quarterback. But if you have 1 year and you have a team that says, you know what, we got the offensive line that can block. We have the people. We have the defense that can back him up. We have the organization that will support him and get whatever he needs to win at this moment. And we have a salary cap that we're able to go out and plug and play some of the guys that we need to win. Why not make the move? You never know. What's going on, Dave? How you doing? Dave, listening to us on Uncle Steve's Lounge. We appreciate you as always, my brother Steve. I wonder if Matt could play well consistently in the AFC North, where the weather is terrible late in the season. Remember, Matt's a Philadelphia boy. It's not like Matt doesn't know what cold is like. Philadelphia guy and played for Boston College. I'm pretty sure the weather up there, listen, he was in here. He's been used to dome weather and stuff like that. But Matt played up there quite a bit, played up there in the cold when he was younger. And he played in there when he was in Boston College in school. So I don't think the cold weather is, that much of a factor. Rusty says, go watch Malik Willis highlights on YouTube. That kid is cold. Dude, I've been watching Malik Willis the whole time. I've been saying Malik Willis's name for the last couple of weeks to say that's somebody that you need to check out. Absolutely, Rusty. No doubt in my mind. And again, he's not going to be a first-round pick. And with a team, and that's why, Antoine was saying it earlier about maybe, getting your quarterback in the second day. At this moment, we have two round 2 picks. So one of those still addressing maybe either offensive line need or defensive line need, edge rush or whatever. Hey, take a chance on that second round and get somebody like Willis to come on in here. Absolutely. Mo Lewis said, don't be lying to these folks today. I ain't lying to nobody, Mo. Well, set me straight, Mo. What you got, brother? Glad to have you in here, my brother. Glad to have you in here. Antoine says the Colts have an offensive line and Jonathan Taylor in the story. Let me tell you something. A veteran quarterback would love to go there. Let me tell you something, too. Why are you joking? If things don't work out for Aaron Rodgers, as it usually doesn't over these last 10 years, if things don't work out, don't think Aaron. Shoot. Indianapolis, Dome Stadium, get a chance, man. That might be a perfect place for him to end his career. If you think about it, I would love that. If I were Aaron Rodgers. Let me go over here right quick and get to some of these grades. And I know we talked about this, and I hyped this up on the title of the thing, and I wrote out too many of these things for me to ignore it. But I was just giving, and again, this is instant reaction grade. I don't expect everybody to be to agree with what I say, but this is just my instant reaction. I'm pretty sure if you ask me a week from now, a lot of these things will change. But of course, coming off the game yesterday, you also have those feelings where you kind of just say, oh, Lord, what are we doing? Overall offense this year. Overall offense, it gets to me a D plus. Overall offense. We just haven't had that offensive firepower the last couple of years. Now, last year, of course, Julio was hurt. But Calvin still carried, a lot of things last year. This year, of course, we all know what happened with Calvin Ridley not being there, and of course, we have basically a career third receiver being our number one receiver. I'm gonna pull this up right quick. Share this screen. If we look at the team stats this year, I'm trying to bring that up so y'all can see that a little bit more. This is courtesy of NFL.com. And you look at the top teams there, passing, go all the way down, and that's in alphabetical order. I wanted to get some of this. Want to get some of these stats for rushing this year. That's what I wanted to get. The rushing team this year. This is the rushing. I'm going to put the rush yards first. That's from the bottom up. So rushing teams this year. The Eagles were top, number one, 2,700 yards. Look how far down I have to scroll to get to the Falcons. All the way. Not done yet. All the way down. 1,451 yards this year. 3.7 average on the ground. Only the Texans got less yards than we did on the ground this year. The vaunted passing game that we were supposed to have this year. The great passing game. Go down to passing yards. That used to be something we'd always at least hang our hats on. And look at it this year. When you start talking about yards, let's flip it around. There you go. Usually we'd be in the top 10 because our quarterback had a propensity to stack up a lot of yards. But this year, we're middle of the pack this year. Look at us. And if y'all don't see it, it's number 16. Not very good. And not the results you want if you want to win. So usually we used to have the defense that would be able, we used to have the offense that would at least make up for some of the defensive things, but this year we don't. So I don't know what to say. But that's where I go. I go with D+ on that. Dave says, whoever the next quarterback that comes to Atlanta better have this one trait: mental toughness, because some of this fan base is not going to give him a fair shake. Yeah, because you're going to have the same effect that you had, that Matt Ryan had to deal with the first 3 or 4 years. Matt Ryan won for 5 years, and there were still people screaming for Mike Vick. And it's going to be the same way when Matt Ryan leaves. When Matt Ryan leaves, you're still going to have a percentage of the fan base that's going to say, oh, he's not as good as Matt. We would have done better than Matt. So I no. Dub J says, not Falcons related, Scottie Pippen out of Arkansas Central Arkansas. Yeah, I remember him playing for them too. Gregory says offense was not consistent. 1 week they would look good, at least for the first half. Then they would put up 3 to 6 points the next week. I don't think they were that great at all. I think if you really look at our we didn't put up a lot of points. We weren't doing a lot of, at least the year before, we did a lot of 20 to 20 yards. We had a lot of problems in the red zone. We just didn't do it. We just didn't. So, and the rookies on the team, Kyle Pitts, overall, Jalen Mayfield, and yes, it's going to be super easy for everybody to dog Jalen Mayfield, and he should to a certain extent. But this is his first time being sent to war, so he got baptized a little bit this year. But I'm still going to give him some some bad grades when you start talking about that. Let's go to the defense. Defensive line this year. Defensive line, D minus. The defensive line this year did not affect the quarterback at all. At all. We had second and third string quarterbacks during some of our games come in and actually be successful because we weren't putting any pressure on the quarterback. None. So we've got to do a better job. We got to do a better job with that. Absolutely. Oh, my screen is frozen again. I have no idea why my screen is freezing, y'all, and I apologize. Hopefully, it'll catch up in a second. That you got that open mouth look that I have right there. It's just crazy. So hopefully, y'all can still hear me. I'm gonna finish this up and hope that it will work itself out here in a second. Linebackers, I give them a C minus this year. Fourier helps it out a little bit with his ability to lead the league in tackles. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a plus for being able to do that. So C minus for those guys. Secondary as a whole, C minus. C minus for the whole. AJ will get a B. I think some folks are so enamored with AJ that he can do no wrong. And don't get me wrong, the brother has talent. And I truly believe in this next year or two, he could have an all-pro, not a Pro Bowl. He could have an all-pro grade in this league. I think he's that good. But I'm not quite ready to put him in the elite category quite yet. Not yet. But he does get a B. Everyone else, not very good. And I know we had a lot of folks that we were just sticking in there. So not great on his end. Special teams, as a whole, the special teams I give a C. Younghoe Koo gets the highest rating of anybody this year. Younghoe missed 2 kicks this year. Younghoe, no other than Justin Tucker, and I forgot the other kicker. There are only 2 kickers that missed 2 kicks this year. Those were the only 2. Younghoe is absolutely a weapon for us, and it will be interesting to see this all season because Younghoe signed another 1-year contract this year. It will be interesting to see if they try to go long term for him or not. He really did a great job for us. He's done a great job for us the last couple of years. Actually hit that 54-yarder yesterday. So Younghoe, I don't have a problem with. Hopefully he can get his act together when you start talking about that. Offensive line, an F. And yes, that includes some decent play from Lindstrom. It's always interesting that when the Falcons run, they run on that right side with Lindstrom and McGarry. Yes, I said McGarry because he's somebody that has been, well documented as somebody who has not done a great job. And I think McGarry is a better run stopper. I'm not a run stopper, a run blocker than he is pass coverage. So I give him a little bit of a pass and when it comes to running. But overall, just an F. They did not do what they need to do for Matt. Matt was not protected very well. So F for the offensive line. Not good at all. Running backs this year. Running backs, D+. And I only say D+ because they had moments during the season where they showed up. They definitely had moments. Overall, I just don't think they did a great job. When CP came in, he definitely added a little spark, but CP can't block to save his life. Y'all listen to his press conference too, his end of year press conference that he gave. It was kind of interesting. I'm not saying he committed one way or the other to whether he wanted to stay with the Falcons, but it wasn't like this overall resounding, yeah, the Falcons are my team and I'm staying with them. But, he gave us some good moments. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure if he's going to stick around. I'm sure the money is going to be a factor. He knows coming back to Atlanta needs him more than we need him more than he probably needs us. Somebody's going to come after him. Somebody's going to come after him and try to get him to sign. So do we have enough? Wide receivers as a whole. The wide receivers, not tight ends. Wide receivers get a D+, but I have to overlook the fact that, again, coming right before we came into camp, the thought process, this is before all the Julio stuff, the thought process was that we were going to have Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Kyle Pitts at tight end. That was the thought. A couple of weeks before training camp. That was the thought. Because remember, I don't think Julio showed, because I think he was actually literally still on the team when we started training camp. But when training camp came, that was supposed to be our offense. So I'm willing to give a small pass to the wide receiver crew, because I know OZ didn't plan on being out there quite a bit. I'm sure Russell Gage planned on being out there, but not in the role as the wide receiver one. And he did an admirable job. It'll be interesting to see if they try to hang on to him or not going into the season. I don't think you signed him for more than a year, but I'm not sure of his worth to another team. I don't know. Maybe somebody will find, he's an LSU receiver, and those have pretty good stock these days. So we'll see. Tight end grade, and I'm really just grading on Kyle Pitts. I give Kyle Pitts a B+. I think he did a great job transitioning from the college game to the pro game. Obviously, hooking up with Matt Ryan very quickly. So just a good, very good job for a rookie. Good job from him. Quarterback position, I will give Matt Ryan, another person that I'm going to give extra credit to, because his play also depends on the quality of the offensive line. And I just gave the offensive line an F. So I can't give them an F and let Matt's grade be great. His grade is, to me, overall D+. Unfortunately, he has a lot to live up to from his previous years. And without an offensive line, it's impossible for him to succeed when you have a crappy offensive line. So I have to give him a low grade, though I don't think he's as bad as some folks would say. I think he is a product of what's put in front of him. And right now, what's put in front of him is garbage. And so that's why I have to give him that. Cam says, when you look at the defense, do you think it's a lack of talent, lack of pass rush, missed tackles, Dean P's scheme is outdated, or a combination of all these above? I won't bring up the miserable offense. I definitely think it's a lack of talent. We don't have a lot of talent on this team. We talked about that at length yesterday. When you really look down the starting lineup that we put out there from day one and compare that against other teams in the NFL, I'd easily say we're in the lower third as far as talent was concerned. And we didn't even know about what Kyle Pitts was going to give us at that time. So inexperience plays in that too. But we are devoid of a lot of talent on this team. Lack of pass rush. I talked about it earlier. We put no pressure on any quarterback this year. when you look at the game with Josh Allen last week and how he was able to just move, just go through fourth, fifth progressions. When you think about what a quarterback can do when you're not getting any pressure, ate us alive. Simeon, technically the third string quarterback, came in there, ate us alive. And I say ate us alive. He didn't have a lot of numbers per se during the passing game, but he had plenty of time. He missed a lot of throws yesterday. But we made him look awfully good because you're not putting any pressure on him. You're really not. Mo said, Matt ain't did nothing significant. Keep it real. 2 winning seasons out of the last 10. Nobody's missing that mess. Yeah, and listen, fair judgment. What I want to do, Mo, I'm giving flowers to Matt because we'll go in the inverse. Because the first 7 out of 10 years, Matt did not have, he only had 3 losing seasons. Well, scratch that. He had 2 losing seasons, at 8-8 season. First 5 years, he had a winning season. Second 2 years were losing, 8-8, 11-5, 10-6. I'm not trying to sell anything to you for the failure of the last 5 years, but I'm also trying to say, yeah, it's time to move on, but let's not pretend like when Matt got here, he was absolute garbage. First 5 years for Matt Ryan, 11-5, 9-7, 13-3, 10-6, 13-3. 2 losing years, 8-8, 11-5, Super Bowl, 10-6, NFC divisional game. Only saying that just to say, I understand how those diehards want him and want that feeling to stay around. I'm just somebody that's ready to move on. Obviously, you are too, Mo, but I'm just ready for somebody to get out, keep them going. Chadwick, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man? Says Patterson was nice. Antoine says, great show. Steve, we got to link up soon. My brother, you just say the word, man. I'll let you know what my 9 to 5 is doing and what time I do it. I have no problem hooking up with you, my friend. Always glad to have you in here too. Again, I'm going to go way back up here to that link here. Y'all make sure y'all check out Smitty's Smart Sports Machine. He's on YouTube. And again, good stuff. Has some pretty good guests on there as well. So make sure y'all stop in and check him out on YouTube. And also subscribe to Uncle Steve's Lounge if you get a chance to. Rusty says Fourier's priority gauge, Hurst, CP are expendable. Hurst is going to be an interesting call. I know Lee Smith retired allegedly today. So we're going to need some tight end help, especially on the blocking side. We're going to need some blocking tight ends. I think that's what Lee Smith was brought here for. He came up here for a couple of holding calls too. But Hayden Hurst would be interesting to see if he stay. I don't know what kind of money he would be looking for. I'm sure there are teams that see he's a nice pass catching tight end. He did a good job before Kyle got here. It's not like he wasn't filling in the space for Hooper when he left. I thought he fit in nicely, but it's just nice to have Kyle Pitts and the versatility that he has as a tight end on our team. Fourier is one of those guys that when you look at him, you're gonna have to see what his worth is gonna be. He led the lead in tackles this year. His star has been rising for quite a while. So you gotta think that the worst case scenario that they're going to be coming at him with 4 years, $35 million, 30 something $1 million, 36 to 40. something in that range. I don't know why. I mean, unless they plan on trying to slap a tender on him or something like that. And I'm sure they would love to try to negotiate with him down. Really, he's the only free agent that I would go and say, that's somebody that we need to get, that we need to keep. Yeah, the Patterson situation, I would love to have Patterson here again, but kind of in the same way Fourier Aluakon is, you got to see, is that a need? I think it's easy to me. It's a no-brainer that you would pick Fourier over Patterson. If you ask me, I think that's the route that you would go when it comes to who's more important when you do that. Chatwood says, I'm ready for a Brady to our Bledsoe. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, and that's why I was saying earlier, Chadwick, when I was talking about bringing somebody in, a second rounder, third rounder, remember in Brady's case, a sixth rounder. So we can groom the guy and see what he has. Tom Brady, you never know until you put him out there a couple of times. And listen, I even say with Felipe Franks, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say he's ready, but you're not going to know what he does until you put him out there in real game situations. I guess at the end, when technically we still had an opportunity to make the playoffs, you didn't want to do that. You want to put your best players forward. But eventually you're going to have to evaluate whether Felipe is somebody that you're looking at to say, I can turn him into something. Undrafted free agents, not going to cost you a lot the next couple of years. Who knows? You just might. Antoine says, put your link on my YouTube comments. Steve, I'll promote your channel on my day. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, Smith. As soon as I finish from here, I'll go do that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that always. Rusty says, that's another thing that's crazy. We gave up a 6th-round pick for that dude that played one season. Yeah, I know. Chad would say the 4th-round quarterback to sit back and learn until we need to step up. Yeah, because there are going to be quarterbacks that come out. What you're looking for now, more than best quarterback available, you need somebody right now that's going to fit your system. If Matt is going to be here, which I'm pretty sure he will, you're going to need somebody that's going to fit what Arthur Smith needs to do. Almost kind of like Lamar Jackson, whatever offense they were running, they went and got Huntley, somebody who can do the things they do so they don't have to change the offense a lot when he comes in. That was the awkward thing about the Ravens when they changed up. Ravens went from a straight pro-style offense to this kind of RPO type team, which it worked for them. We had 2 running backs that were close to 800 yards. And remember, look, along with Lamar, J.K. Dobbins, man, when he comes back, that's going to be nice. I don't know whether Devontae is going to still be part of that, but that's going to be very interesting to see how that works out. Rusty says 4-year contract going to be about 4 years, $60 million. I don't think he's going to be $15 million linebacker. Nah, he won't be $15 million. Nah, he's gonna be somewhere maybe a step above Debo right now. He's not gonna command $15 million. Matter of fact, just for craps and giggles, I'm not even sure if the highest the highest linebacker would mention that Hunt paid. And I'm not sure if right now Darius Leonard is the highest paid linebacker, 5 years, $99 million right now. And I'm looking at some of these average. Yeah, the people that I'm going to name right now, I'm not sure if any of them I'm not sure if he fits in it. Darius Leonard, Fred Warner, Bobby Wagner, C.J. Mosley, Zach Cunningham, Miles Jack, Dion's average after he gets his bonus kind of goes a little bit higher. But yeah, I don't know. Dion, that is deep. Dion is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Seventh highest paid. That's pretty high. I'm not sure if he's gonna. I'm not sure if they're gonna be able to give him that much, but we'll see. We'll see. Anthony said we could have saw Franks and a lot of other players' potential in the preseason had we played them. Yeah, I know they gave Franks that one little splash of a half against I forgot who it was where he ran the little 60-yard the 60-yard run against the team, and was that Miami? It might have been Miami where he ran the little run against him. But Felipe, I don't know what he does in practice. It's very interesting that aside of the week he had COVID, the last 6 weeks of the year, Felipe was the backup quarterback. So he must be progressing somewhat in the system that they would put Josh Rosen inactive 3 of these last 4 weeks. So maybe, just maybe, and knowing that you have him on the cheap right now, if maybe he goes in and Arthur Smith says, "Man, look, let me take this playbook, and I need you to eat, drink, and sleep it until the end of the season. I mean, until the end of the off season, because there's a potential that you might be the backup quarterback for this team. I don't know. Maybe they have faith enough in Felipe where they think maybe they don't have to get a quarterback. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying maybe that's what they're thinking. I would still go get some competition. And that's the good thing about getting some competition maybe in the late rounds, that you don't necessarily have to keep them on that. Now, you don't want to waste if they were to get a quarterback in the second round, Felipe is probably gone. Because you can't use a high pick. And when I say high pick, first, second, and third round to me are considered high. You can't use a high pick on a quarterback and not have them on your roster. So if we don't get a quarterback in the first 3 rounds, then that might tell me that Felipe might be somebody that they actually have a future planned out for. I don't know. But to your point, it would have been nice to see him, Anthony. It would have been nice to see him, to see if that would have been the case. I know we got a lot of folks preparing ourselves tonight for the Georgia game, and hopefully Georgia Bulldogs are able to come through on this game. I'm hoping that the defense plays a lot better than they did last time. I'm not sure if Bryce Young is going to have that same game he had last time. I look for the Bulldogs to put some pressure on him. I think Lanning wants to go out on a good note before he heads on to Oregon and do his thing. I look at this game as being a Stetson Bennett game-managed game. I don't think they're going to take as many chances as they did last time. I think they were trying to go for some surprise plays. I think Georgia needs to stick to the game plan, run the ball. Don't give up the big play. The big play killed you last game. Stetson knows he can't throw interceptions this game. I don't think he's going to do that. The one thing we didn't have to account for last time that we got to account for this time is Robinson back there in the backfield. I think Alabama was forced to throw the ball a little bit more last time. I think Alabama missing Michie as well, that they're going to try to run the ball. I don't think they're going to look for Bryce to do too much as well. I don't look for him to have as lofty of a stats as he do. I think this is going to be a little bit more of a grinded out game. And I think in a grinded out game, I'll take Georgia in this particular game. I look for the Dogs to eke this one out 24-21 over the Tide. That Alabama, you got to get over it sooner or later. Rays had to get over the Dodgers. They finally did it. This is the time for when you start thinking of adding those things up, you start thinking about that 2017 year, and you start thinking about what happened in the SEC championship a couple of years ago with Alabama, and then you thought about a month ago with Alabama. You got to get that stink out of your system, and I think this is the game that they finally do. Look for Georgia to win this thing 24-10 going in. All right, y'all, I'm going to break down because his brother got to go get some wings for this game because it'll be kicking off here in the next hour and a half. Hopefully, we'll be coming tomorrow with some good news that Georgia pulled off the win and brought this thing back home. Till then, y'all have a great night. Thanks for talking with us tonight and going over this Falcon season. Hopefully, we can hear a lot of news here in the next month or so about what the team's going to do going forward. Until then, y'all take care. Peace.